with Silas earlier today already, and I've already been working quite a bit, so just doing a later hike because I am keto and I'm trying to make sure I'm burning some calories. And it's honestly just a good reset for my day, and it's a good time to hang out with y'all. So here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll tell you something, it's just springtime already. 100%, no doubt about it. Winter is gone. Makes me pretty sad. I like my wintertime. I like my cold weather. But that's life. It'll be back in a while. In the meantime, I gotta get ready for the heat. I already probably need to turn my air conditioner back on, which kind of sucks because I was hoping to have some time to really go through and clean it out and kind of do some work to it. It ends up icing up quite a bit during the summertime, so we'll see what happens. Look at that old dude. I don't know if y'all can see it well. Got a vintage plane up there. I can't identify it specifically. I'm not that much of a plane nut, but I can tell when it's an old vintage one. Hard Work Woodwork said, "How we doing today, Ray?" Doing very good, sir. How you doing? Juan said, "Hey, bro, thanks for the inspiration. I needed you all these years. Thanks for everything." Hey, you're welcome, man. Oh, okay. I heard a kid crying, but he's in there in the backyard. He's fine. So, let's see. I got a 𝗧𝗏𝗏bot slash 𝗫𝗙𝗏𝗏bot slash 𝗫𝗏𝗙𝗧 is what it's called now. Apparently Claude, 𝗬𝗢𝗙𝗓. Well, Anthropic, the company that makes the AI called Claude, 𝗬𝗢𝗓, didn't like 𝗧𝗏𝗏bot and its little spoof on the name, even though it was a different spelling. So they changed it to 𝗫𝗏bot because it was lobster themed. So they changed it to 𝗫𝗏bot, and then apparently that was still a little too risky. So now it's 𝗫𝗏𝗏. So after 3 name changes, hopefully they settle into 𝗫𝗏𝗏 for a while. But I do have a 𝗧𝗏bot now. It's running on my DGX Spark, which is an AI, like a personal desktop AI supercomputer. Also, by the way, I did finally get my own large language model up and running, which turned out was a few things. Number one, it was extremely easy. The setup was easy. Everything was easy. But it's only easy because I have ChatGPT to just literally tell me what code to type into there, because you do have to interface with it through a command prompt. And I don't know anything about any of that, but ChatGPT was able to just give me, I think, 2 different lines of code. I had to run one line to sort of, download it, and then another line to execute it with, the model weights. So, yeah, now I've got my own LLM on my DGX Spark at home, which, what that means, if y'all been following me, I'm a little bit of a prepper. So if the internet goes down, there is no more AI, and it occurs to me that in an end-of-the-world situation, if you could have a really good AI at your disposal, I mean, you just, you want to know if this plant is edible, snap a picture of it. Of course you need electricity, right? You still need a generator or solar or something, but assuming you have electricity, you can use any cell phone to snap a picture of it. Or even you could describe it really well if you had to, but I guess the point being, you could ask it whether a particular plant is poisonous or edible. You could give it symptoms for a sickness and ask for help diagnosing the sickness and hopefully help figuring out which antibiotics to take. All kinds of cool uses, I think, for an AI after the world ends. But, where was I at? Oh, was that? It is cool. It's 10 a.m. and I have my 𝗘𝗫𝗫𝗏 sending me a daily reminder to expand some. I need to do some reauthorization into my Google account for it because I want it to have some new abilities it doesn't have. But I don't have time, but I'll also forget. So I said, remind me every day at 10 a.m. that we still need to do this. And I just got my 10 a.m. reminder. But anyways, I've got a large language model running locally. Not a tiny one either, a really nice one. It's currently Llama 3.3. I will be updating that to one of the newer NVIDIA models that they just came out with last week. But it turns out that's like the easy part. Getting an LLM running locally on a DGX Spark is 2 command lines and then boom, you're there. We got hard work. Woodwork said, I'm great, thanks. Thanks for all. Just started Bullseye Home Services in Nebraska. How can I support you more for all you've done? Just be an active member of the community, you know. If you're on other, you know, I'm not going to go to other Facebook forums. I'm not going to go to other people's, you know, forums and live streams and whatnot promoting myself. But to the extent you see value in mentioning me amongst the wider community, and only when you see actual real value in that, mention me, send some people over, come to these live streams. That actually helps. I mean, I don't make any money off it or anything, but I enjoy having y'all as a community. I'm gonna shut up till I pass this dog. This is typically the only dog that really just makes it impossible to stream. And the older I get, the less I like talking over people or dogs. All right. Yeah, so, you know, engage. Be a member of the community. Comment on videos. Share links to bulletproofhandyman.com. Test all of my tools at bulletproofhandyman.com and let me know where they're broken. I'm not a software developer, so most of them are going to be broken in multiple ways, and I need help identifying that. I don't have a team of testers. Check out the links in all of my videos, whatever links are in the description. Those are my sponsors. They're very happy when people visit them. You don't even have to purchase the product. It's like I always tell them, if they ask me, like, hey, how do you think we can get, you know, sales up? Like, we've got this many clicks from your links, but the sales are low. And I'm like, look, you know, my promise is to send them to you. I'm gonna suggest that they just simply do nothing more than give you serious consideration, give you the opportunity to convince them that their product or service is the right one. Once they've clicked and they've landed on your site, you know, it's up to you to figure out how to, you know, convince them that your product is the right one. But if you want to help me, you know, don't ever buy anything just because I recommended it, unless you just trust me that much. But, you know, I wouldn't trust me or anybody enough to go buy a product without checking it out first. But check it out, you know. Benjamin said, hail Indiana, hail soldier. Howdy, Benjamin. Digital said, oh, that was Digital Crow said thumbs up. Hard work woodwork said will do for sure. You've helped me a lot for all you've put out. Thanks again. What is the Brotherhood on your website? Oh, okay, I'll talk about that. Let me catch up on these comments. Digital said my dog is also enjoying the stream. Paul Dardo. Hello, Mr. Paul. How you doing, sir? Oh, so Woodwork said, asked me about the Brotherhood. I'm not going to talk about it forever and ever, although I need to log on there today and do some catching up. initially, you know, we had some guys like 𝗕𝗏𝗙𝗏𝗧 and actually Paul Dardeau and Mike Neal and many others around the country who were open and willing to connecting with new handymen or existing. You don't have to be new really, but connecting with others in their area, specifically for mentorship, but also for community. And I decided one night during a live stream, because I've been building so much with software, I decided one night that I would just use the software that I build with to build a little directory. And that's really all it was going to be, was just a way for y'all to go sort of say what your name was and where you're at and how to contact you. And I went and started building it, and 14 days and about $2,000 later, I had built this entire, essentially, social networking platform, but specifically a social networking platform for men. And it went from, you know, the whole intention initially was for this local, in-person sort of relationships to build amongst the Bulletproof Handyman community. So, true to that spirit, what I ended up building was a nationwide, what do you call it? I kept thinking paternity, like paternity test. What I ended up building was sort of a nationwide fraternal organization that's organized into chapters, with the idea that the chapters, as they slowly grow over time, will be meeting in person. And although women are technically, you know, not omitted, it's not built for them, though. It's built for men, and for men to connect with each other, to reconnect with each other, because I believe we're stronger, and I believe we're tribal, and we're stronger in tribes, but we're also just more our true selves. I think it is in our nature to bond with other men in person and to form tribes. I mean, it's just like you know, everybody loves their football team. Everybody loves their baseball team. Everybody loves their teams of dudes out there competing with each other. And I think that's just in our nature. It's the way we evolved. So that's the point of that site, is for everybody. It's growing really slow. I mean, to be fair, I've put essentially zero effort. I think I spent about $2,000 building it. And then I spent maybe, I want to say like $500 to $800 perhaps promoting it, whether that be on, and it could be significantly less, but I think that's the budget I was trying to hit. Promoting it, you know, with some Facebook ads and some ads on the X platform and stuff. But it's growing slowly, which is fine. It doesn't need to grow fast. But if you just click on it, you know, make a profile. It is $10 a month. I would like at some point to recoup the few $1,000s I've put into it. And if and when it does grow, it would be really, really nice after it grows to be able to take the money that's coming in from the monthly subscriptions and do what I've always done, which is basically roll everything that I make back into building new tools for the community, specifically for handymen, but also to just men, you know, on a slightly wider level. Also know that even though I say it's $10 a month, there's a button you can click to request a waiver, and it's basically a no question. Well, it's not no questions asked, because I literally, it is questions asked. I ask the question, you know, hey, what's going on? Why can't you pay? You have to give some kind of reason. But the truth is, I have it set up to where if I don't go in and read the waiver requests, if I don't go in personally and read them myself and approve them or deny them myself, which I've never denied any of them, within 72 hours, they auto-approve. Because the whole point is that, you know, there's no paywalls to the extent I can make it that way. You know, the more I'm trying to do and the more of my money I'm putting into building all of this stuff, the more necessary it's going to become for me to have certain revenue streams. But trying as hard as I can. And at the moment with that site, if I don't approve it myself within 72 hours, it auto approves. And during that 72-hour period, you still have full access to the site. You don't lose any access. So the goal is go make a profile, and then, you know, there's a member search feature. There's actually 2 different member search features on there. So make your profile, be accurate with your profile if you want things to work properly, and then go do a search for other members in your area. You know, form an actual fraternity, I guess, whatever you want to call it, a chapter, form a chapter. And all that has to mean, you know, if you don't have time to become like a full chapter president and, you know, dump hours of your life into it, that's all right. Just get in touch with the other guys in your chapter and just say, hey, if y'all want to come over 2 Saturdays from now and do a little barbecue, we can get to know each other. That's all it's supposed to be. You know, I made it complex enough that if you want to do like a whole Knights of Columbus, you know, organized meeting structure and everything, you can absolutely do that. And I do encourage that, but I'm not doing it here. I have my own chapter here. I've had one meeting which involved me and one other guy who's already here locally. I had the one meeting and that's it. So I'm not following through either. But the goal is simply just to have a place where we can all connect in person instead of just digitally, because I think that in person, you know, someday you or one of the guys in your group, sorry, I have to look at pretty rocks every now and then. Someday, one of y'all's going to be going through a divorce. And something unique about Handyman is we don't have coworkers. We're all kind of just on our own. So that guy's going to need you, or you're going to need him. Or one of y'all's going to be pouring a concrete slab and you're going to have 4 people available for 2 hours on a specific Sunday. And you can say, hey man, if y'all can come out and help this Sunday, I'm going to provide a bunch of brisket and ribs. And you can do what men do, you know, which is make shit happen. That's literally what men do. We make shit happen. It's what we're built for. Anthony said, as a handyman, do you think it's wise to move to always put your truck, van, or car under your LLC? I don't think I'm smart enough to answer that. I mean, I think the answer is yes, but you definitely should not make those decisions based on my advice. But I do think the answer is yes. My real answer is you should have an accountant, and accountant, CPA, whatever you want to call them, bookkeeper. You should have somebody who's very educated in the realm of taxes and stuff. You should have somebody that knows you and your business and your financial goals and your financial situation. And you should have that person really answer those questions for you. But if you're going to go off my advice, I'm going to say, yeah, you should probably do that. But I haven't done that, so, you know, clearly I don't think it's all that important. Woodwork said, I'm going to check it out tonight. Awesome. Oh, moving on to the next subject for the day. Speaking of AI, I have a new tool published on the site now. It's been published for a little while with just a few beta testers having access to it. Now I've republished it so that everyone has access to it. So, hold on. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to walk for a second and breathe for a second and enjoy some of the scenery. But I'm going to tell you all about this new AI project estimator tool I built. Just give me a minute. I want to look around and enjoy this. smells really good out here too. We have the poppies are blooming. Two types of itty bitty teeny tiny little yellow flowers are blooming, but they grow in like carpets. And the creosote bushes are blooming. Two types of larger yellow flowers. I wish I knew their names, I just don't. Two types of larger yellow flowers are blooming. And then picked some blue bonnets the other day. They just started blooming like right now. There's also like a thistle kind of plant here, very spiky, that's just started blooming. And I know I'm missing one. Did I say poppy? I think I said poppies. Well, anyways, on the poppies if I didn't mention them. So this new AI tool, I think a lot of y'all are actually going to be super interested in. So here's how it works. You have a job as a handyman and you either don't know what to do and what to charge, or you think you know, but you're not super confident about it. Or maybe even you know and you're confident, but you just want to double check it. So what you do is you go to my tool at bulletproofhandyman.com, click on the tools tab, go into the tools section, and it's called the project estimator. You open it up, you give it a title, you give it a description of what's wrong, you give it a description of what you want the solution to be. And this matters because you could give it a picture of something that's broken and it's not going to know, do you want to replace this or do you want to repair this? You know, it needs to know what you want to actually do to the thing. And then you upload a video of the thing, and the video upload, oh, I told you, I'm just a weirdo who has to look at neat rocks. That's just a really different brown there than what I'm used to seeing. Where was I at? You upload your video. The video is important because videos contain a lot of detail, and really the entire setup is geared towards video. Like, I've built it to harness video. So you give it a video, the video has to be under 1 minute. By the way, there is functionality for you to record the video in app. So you can go to bulletproofhandyman.com, bring it up, you can hit a button to record inside the app. I don't know if it works at the moment. It didn't work before, like I built it, but it's buggy and glitchy and doesn't show a preview, and it seems to record, but you can't see that it recorded. I did some troubleshooting and applied some fixes, but I haven't tested it to see if it works yet. So just know that that part may not work. But you upload your video, has to be under 1 minute. I highly suggest that you do the video with good lighting, that you zoom in, you zoom out, get it from the left, from the right, from the top, from the bottom, from the front, from the back, get it every way you can get it. Pretend like you're in Mexico on the beach for a weekend with it, and just do everything you can do with that one video. And upload the whole thing, and what you're gonna get is a report made by, and when I say an AI, don't be thinking it's the same as uploading a video to ChatGPT. It's far more complex than that. I'm paying for a very powerful AI, and I'm paying for like the higher tier usage of it that gives it priority and gives it extra inference processing and like really top tier. Everything about what I built this thing to be very, very top tier. I tried it with more affordable versions that I actually thought were going to be absolutely amazing, and they did a super good job. Like, I wasn't disappointed, but it was still missing something. So I bumped everything up. By the way, I want y'all to see these carpets of yellow flowers I was talking about. This is why it smells so nice here. Look at that. I hate Arizona, and yet it can be so beautiful sometimes. You know what I mean? So you upload your video. Oh, look at that. You upload your video, you submit. You're going to get back this report that tells you how much in labor you should charge. It's going to give you a range for labor pricing. It's going to tell you how many hours. It's going to give you a range of how many man hours it should take a reasonably experienced trades professional to get that job done. So for example, if it's replacing a sliding glass door, like frame and all, it's not going to give you the number of man hours that an expert is going to take to do that. It's going to give you the number of man hours that a regular Joe like you, but who's good with tools and understands how stuff's put together, how long it should take. It's going to tell you an estimate with a range for materials cost. It's going to tell you it's going to use the video and your description together to rephrase what the problem is and what the solution should look like. It's going to give you a list of everything that it's not confident it can see very well. So for example, if you're opening up drywall, it's going to tell you that it can't see if there's any mold behind the drywall, that type of thing. It's going to give you a list of risks. Hey, when you're doing this particular step, you need to be careful for this. Or, hey, again, as a similar example, hey, once you open up the drywall, you may or may not find this. If you're replacing that ceiling fan, there may or may not be a ceiling fan rated box behind it. So it's going to tell you what kind of the unknown risks are. It's also going to tell you what safety risks there are, if there are safety. Not just job completion risks, but safety risks specifically. And then it's going to give you a step-by-step set of instructions on what you need to do to complete the job. That's the hard part because, especially with AI, depending on how you word the request. And what I mean by that is depending on how I've worded the system prompt, because a system prompt is getting sent up the chain to tell the AI what to do. The system prompt is saying, hey, here's this guy's video. Here's what this guy said the problem is. And here's what this guy said he wants the solution to look like. And then here's all of my instructions that I'm giving you on top of his for how you're going to go about answering the question. And just FYI, it's not a simple just uploading of a video and asking, tell me what to do about this. It's a very structured, essentially the system prompt that I send along with your stuff is a JSON prompt, which I don't know enough about to even really say what that is, other than instead of a text, just a string of English words. Instead, it's a structured prompt that uses a lot of strings of English words, but in very specific orders, laid out a certain way, with everything having a very specific place that it goes in. And then it runs it through 3 different AIs. It runs it through an initial AI whose job is to look at your video and do a really good job of, it looks at your video and listens to your words and reads your words. But it's mostly using the video to make a description of what the job is. Literally, is this a sliding glass door? Is it a window? Is it an exterior door? Is it a ceiling fan? And what it does is it makes a really great description of everything it's seeing that we're going to be working on. And then a separate AI receives that description, and its job is to go off and do a deep research project and essentially just enter him in the moment, fleetingly. I need to change this actually. I could probably save some inference tokens if I had it kind of build a database of this, but it will go and do a bunch of research and turn itself into an expert just on that field, which I had to do that for a reason, because there was some fixes where it was giving me I hate to say it, but what I would call like the handyman fix for a professional problem. And I don't want the handyman fix, because a handyman doesn't need to be a non-professional. A handyman can do the professional fix. So yeah, step 2 is it takes that thorough description from step 1 and it goes and turns itself into a system expert. And then it submits its entire system expert crash course, you know, sliding glass doors 101, plus my system prompt, plus your prompts, plus the video, plus the description that the first AI made. And it sends all of that up to the really expensive Genius AI that puts all of that together and comes up with your step-by-step plan. It gives you confidence levels for a lot of the data that it's giving you. As far as pricing and stuff, it kind of ranks what its confidence level is. And it's like how many hours it's going to take you. It ranks all of that in terms of confidence level. It also ranks everything. Each step is ranked something like beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So you can look at those steps and really ask yourself, like, is this something I should be doing or not? Which, by the way, I think usually the answer is yes, even when you think it's no. Err on the side of yes. Be prepared to start projects that you can't finish and to have to apologize and make it right. But if you don't step outside of your comfort zone, you're not going to grow either. So you got to be careful. You know, don't agree to build somebody an entire additional guest house in their backyard if you don't know how. But still, try to expand your skill set. So it gives you the step-by-step. Trying to remember, down at the bottom, I added some stuff to it. What else do we give you? There's some more. It gives you more. I can't remember. Oh, materials. Yeah, no, there's a few more things. So it tells you what materials you need, but it doesn't only tell you what materials you need. It also tells you, it also gives you links to those materials, hopefully locally. And it's a hard thing to do with AI, because the problem is if you tell it, it must give you links to all products and that they must all be local. If it can't find a product locally with a link, then it'll return the whole damn thing as like no result. And that's not useful. So you have to be very careful about how you word things with AI. But basically, you're going to get a list of materials, and most of them will have links, and some of them won't, but you'll have pricing for all of it. It'll also give you a list of local specialty businesses that deal with that stuff. So go back to the sliding glass door example. It's going to give you a link, most likely, to at least one local company that does sliding glass doors. Preferably not a nationwide company. It's specifically looking for not teeny tiny or anything, but just smaller local companies that sell supplies or that perform the work. And the reason for that is typically small local companies are owned by guys like you and me, you know, who just had a little bit of success and stayed in business. And it's those types of companies that are often the most useful, where you can hopefully you just walk into the office, I guess, but where you can show up at the front door and say, hey man, like, here's this video of this thing I'm working on. You can show them, you know, my estimator too, and say, here's what this guy's estimator said, but apparently I need to order glass and I really can't figure out how to do that online. And they might order the glass for you if that's what they do. They might order the glass for you even if that's not what they do, because they're just nice people sometimes. But, you know, you'll have some places to call as a resource that are local businesses. It'll also, by the way, give you some indications as to whether or not you need to be licensed to do specific jobs, which I think is super useful. But it'll do a lot. And right now it's available for free. It's in beta. So, you know, and you'll have to click through a pop-up that explains that it's in beta and that you need to verify everything yourself. But what would be really useful for me is if y'all tested it, do some actual videos of some actual projects, especially if you already know really like what you need to be doing. Run them through there while this thing is free, and just give me some feedback on how well of a job you think it did, because I need to know like where the bugs are and what I can improve. And it won't be free forever. There will come a time, because it's going to cost me, and this is depending on, you know, I could make this more expensive or less expensive, but it's going to cost me some money. It already cost me over $1 per report. So every time y'all submit one, which it's free right now because I need the feedback, it's probably going to get more expensive because the fixes that it needs to get better and better are likely going to require more AI, more processing, more APIs into more things. So at some point, I think the intent is going to be to make these reports available on my website with some number of like free tokens per user, but otherwise just like charge a token per report. And I don't know what the cost of the token will be, but you'll be able to get a monthly subscription that comes with 10 tokens a month or 30 tokens a month or whatever, or you can just buy token after token. I don't really know how it's going to work. I'm not trying to really fully plan out monetization so much as I'm just trying to build a really good tool. So y'all go use that. It's available literally right now at bulletproofhandyman.com in the tools section. It's called Project Estimator. Anything that it doesn't do right, please let me know. I can't fix it if I don't know it's wrong, and I can't sit around for a week just testing this tool. Woodwork said, beautiful scenery. Sounds like you've dedicated a lot of time to this. Seems like it's gonna be great like everything else you can create. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And it'll get better over time. And I'm building new tools. You know, Mike Neal was also talking to me about some suggestions he had for it that I'll definitely be looking into. You know, if we can, this gets pretty difficult because just the way that the things are structured, you can do a lot with an AI. Oh, hold on. Hold on a second, guys. I gotta check a text message. I don't know if I'll disappear or not. All right, all right. Okay, I think we're good. That was Sean texting me, but it looks like instead of calling me about a job, he just uploaded a bunch of pictures and videos, which is fine. I wish he'd call me, but if he's not gonna call me, it's just more trips for him when I could answer all the questions on the phone in the moment. Maybe he's in a hurry, I don't know. Sean generally does a good job, so although I'd prefer he follow instructions, if he doesn't want to, it's just an extra trip for him. But he's well worth keeping around, that's for sure. The only subcontractor I've ever worked with who, I don't even know how long it's been, a year, maybe? No, not a year, hadn't been a year. 6 months though, 6 to 9 months. And the time I've been working with him, he's done, I don't want to put numbers on it, but let's just say that he's not in the same ballpark as any other subcontractor I've worked with. Every other subcontractor I have ever worked with has ultimately dropped the ball in some sort of relatively large way. Usually within a month, you know, within a few weeks to a month, sometimes day 1 or day 3. They're just doing big, horrible things that I know they know better. And Sean is not one of those. Sean gets the job done professionally. And the few mistakes he's made have been legitimate mistakes, not laziness or just not caring. Harry said, I'm sure you were good at coaching and leading him to. I mean, I don't need to much. If to the extent he wants any guidance from me, I'm happy to provide it, but, you know, he's been a self-employed, I think in Washington State, he's a licensed contractor. Down here in Arizona, he's not. But either way, he pretty much knows what he's doing, you know? So I give him advice. I give him advice and a little bit of tutoring on the specifics of my business model. But I don't need to help him too much in terms of coaching. I'm sure I'd learn stuff from him if I was working with him. But part of working for me, especially if you're a subcontractor, part of the whole deal that comes with working with me is I kind of expect my people, if I'm paying them well, which I am, if you work with me, if I find you down here in Tucson and you're already a self-employed handyman, guarantee you 9 out of 10 times, even after I take my cut of your labor when I invoice the job, even after I keep 30%, I'm still usually paying you more than you could have charged or would have charged or have been charging for you just doing it all yourself. So, you know, like for a job where you'll walk away with $100, most of the guys that are working with me or have worked with me, they weren't able to get that $100 for that job themselves. I'm able to get it because I put a lot of time into developing loyal clients and stuff. But where was I at? Oh yeah, just if you're working with me, I typically expect you to be a self-starter. I don't want to have to answer the phone all day, every day. What I want is for me to be essentially your property manager. The same way that I work for property managers where they send me a job and I send them an invoice. When guys work with me, although they don't get to invoice me, I decide what the invoice is and what the pay is. And I'm fair about it, but I expect that the job, you take care of things, and then you're done with it, I invoice it, and you get your percentage and I get my percentage. So I don't really spend a lot of time working with guys. There's another new flower. Working with guys that need that kind of attention. If you need that kind of attention, you need to be an hourly employee of mine. So here's actually 2 new ones. There's this one here, this white one. I forget what the name of the plant is, but that's gonna grow sort of like a gourd, basically. This one, I also have no idea what it is. It's a very different flower in the same spot. It's got purple flowers, and I have no clue what the name of this flower or plant is. And by the way, if you didn't know, this one growing amongst one of the ones with purple flowers, unless they're the same, is this the same? Maybe? No, it's 2 different plants. The one without flowers, so this guy here, this is actually tumbleweed. So the sprouts of a tumbleweed are very edible and yummy, very watery and juicy, but the sprouts of a tumbleweed are very edible. Although the plant itself, after it's done being a sprout, is pretty spiky. KS Porch said, I know you don't like charging by the hour, but how would you recommend charging to troubleshoot low voltage or other data or networking issues? You know, I mean, if somebody's hiring you to troubleshoot, oh, wow. I wonder what that was. Never seen that. It's either a dog or a coyote, I just don't know which. I guess it'd be almost impossible to tell, but that's either a dog or a coyote. Probably got hit on the road over there and ran over here. All right, who's still here? Ooh, almost nobody. We got 3 people still here, that's okay. Business comes first. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything else. Nope, looking good. Sean is at a move out. Remember I was just telling y'all that I told him I wanted him to call me, and then lo and behold, he called me. Which I guess could make you wonder if he was listening to the live stream, which would be cool if he was. But either way, he called me. We got it worked out. We got to work out the budget. We get these owner move outs. So when a renter leaves a property, there's things that need to be fixed that are the renter's responsibility. Where's my comments and stuff? Everything's gone. Hold on. How do I get all this? Somebody throw a comment in here for me. Oh man, I look like shit. Somebody throw a comment in here for me. I'm not seeing any comments. I'm not seeing any buttons to turn comments on. Huh. I hope y'all aren't trying to comment right now because I'm not seeing any of them. But I have to get a new one first. Anyways, there's tenant responsibilities and there's owner responsibilities. We got to fix everything, but there's two separate jobs. Tenant responsibilities generally either don't have a limit on the budget, with the caveat, right, that I'm still a reasonable person. I'm gonna be able to use my best judgment and still call the property manager and go, hey, this one's getting a little expensive. And they usually have good judgment too, and they can tell that it's gonna get expensive, so they'll include some budgeting in that particular request. But anyways, for the owner portions, oh, more pretty rocks. For the owner portions, there's usually a $500 budget, which is based on an agreement that they have with the owner in advance. Look at all that. That's usually, there we go, usually copper. It can be other minerals, but that green, especially down here in this part of Arizona, usually is copper. But for the owner move-outs, it's typically a $500 budget initially. And what we do is we do $500 worth of work, and then we send an estimate for anything that would take us over that budget. So what Sean had to call me for is, most of these move-outs start with checking the smoke detectors for expiration. Well, if you're charging $15 or $20 per smoke detector for the install, and they cost $30 or more each to purchase, you're talking about basically $50 per smoke detector, and some of these houses have 6 smoke detectors or more, but I mean 6 is a pretty common high-end number. So when you could have 6 of them at $50 each, you're already up to $300 out of that $500 budget before you even get to the second item on the list. So with that being said, when we have these owner move-outs, depending on what the list says and depending on how big the house is and stuff, I usually have to tell Sean to call me so that, basically he needs to check the smoke detectors first, kind of look at everything else on the list too, but make sure we know how many smoke detectors need to be replaced, because that's how we figure out how much is left in the budget to do other work that they want to do. And that's why I had to disappear for that phone call. Man, I sure wish. I'm trying to figure out how to get these comments back on the screen. No, I don't want to stop streaming. So look, I don't know if y'all are commenting. I'm gonna apologize. Oh, here we go. Okay, Scott Hughes says, hey Ray, people have commented. Perfect. I'm gonna ask a favor, Scott, or Scott, if you don't have time, other people can do this, but if I can get one of y'all, probably Scott, since you're already texting me, can you text me, let's say not even all the comments, so we'll skip all of the where everybody just said hi and stuff, but any comment that I should be replying to, Scott, if you don't mind texting me those. And if you don't have time, if you're working or something and you need to be doing what you're doing, just text me that. And Paul might still be in here, Mike Neal might be in here, Brittany might be in here, there might be somebody else in here who's willing to sort of relay some comments back and forth for me to answer. But yeah, with the job that Sean is on right now, apparently it's in pretty bad shape. It only needs 3 detectors, but a lot of the other stuff that look like it'd be easy, sliding glass door, that's not working properly, that's usually an easy fix. It's not going to be an easy fix on this one. There's some bird netting that needs to be cleaned out. Not going to be an easy fix on this one. There's going to be a lot on this one that's not an easy fix. So we really had to do some strategizing and figure out what exactly we are and are not going to fix. It looks like we'll go over the budget. You know, not on the property manager side. She'll get a $500 bill from me, basically. She'll get an invoice for $500, but it'll probably be like $545 or something, you know, specific like that, over $500. And then I'll discount it down to the $500. And if you're wondering, why would I send a bill for $545 that's discounted down to $5 instead of just sending the bill for $5? It's just because I want them to see that every now and then I am doing them a favor. This specific company tends to feel like I don't do them any favors. Like they send me lots and lots and lots of work, but I don't reciprocate by, you know, cutting them some slack here and there. So this is just one of the ways where I can let them know, hey, you know, this is where I've cut you some slack. This was, we could have cut this off at $450, but instead we did that additional thing that costs an extra $100, but I'm not charging you the whole $100 for it. I just wanted to make sure that we filled out your budget well. So whatever we went over on the budget, I'm discounting here. It doesn't always work. You know, selfish people are still going to be selfish, but okay. Selfish people will always be selfish, but at least I've documented it. All right, let's see. All right, nobody's sent me any updates on the comments yet, but as soon as either Scott Hughes or somebody else sends me some of the more recent comments, I'll go ahead and read those. And if anybody else is who has my number is watching, if you want to send me some of the comments, I'll take a look at them and answer them. Man, I can't believe it's hot already. I hate this. It's probably only like 70 degrees out here, but I just really don't like the heat at all. I'd rather be cold literally all year long. A lot of land out there. Have me some land someday. I'm working on it. So on the docket today, by the way, dude, I've been so busy lately, which I know y'all have never really heard me say anything other than that, but I have. And now what I'm behind on is I need to get that video edited for 𝗘𝗦𝗦𝗘𝗡, which I have to do today. Well, I don't have to do today, but I told him I'd have it ready early this week. And it's early this week. Monday is early. So I'm going to get that video done today. But what sucks was I didn't save it. So last time I did export it out of Adobe and, you know, got it uploaded into YouTube. It's set to private, so y'all can't see it. But I got the whole thing kind of done and exported. Oh, cool. There's an image from Scott. All right, so Scott, thank you. If you could, sir, and again, if you can't, this is fine. I don't expect anything from anybody. But if you send me an image, then I have to leave the stream to go look at the image. I have to literally leave the stream. So if you could text it to me, I can pull down a text from the top, staying inside the stream. I can pull down a text from the top and I can see the text and read it while streaming. If you send me the image, I have to leave the entire stream, so it goes blank and shuts off. But, oh God, now I forgot the name. 𝗕𝗨𝗪𝗪 was one of them. There was 2 comments I could see on the picture. But one of them specifically said that somebody just went and tested my project estimator, and they did it for a simple job that they already knew, which was a garbage disposal needing to be replaced. And the feedback was that it did a very good job. Also, know this, and I've got this in like the terms and conditions. I'm not going to fill my whole site up where everywhere you go, you're seeing disclaimers all over the place. But do know that if I run a video for you and give you a report, whether now when it's free or later when it's paid, any video I run that gives you a report, I will not ever publish your video or your name or your zip code or any of that information. But the actual report itself, so let's say garbage disposal, which is a very common job, now that the software has run a report for a standard garbage disposal, I'm going to be creating a library of these reports for people to go look at. So you'll be able to, it'll be a searchable database essentially, and you'll be able to type in garbage disposal and it will show you reports that were run on garbage disposals. And you know, every report's going to be different because this is AI. This is a fresh generation every time. In fact, I gave it one for a sliding glass door where the glass had broke out and paneling was screwed onto the frame to keep the frame square and to have a way to close off the house. But now the door doesn't have any glass and it's had paneling screwed onto the frame of the slider. And the instructions I gave when I ran it the first time and the second time, the instructions I gave were, I don't know if we need new glass or like order new glass and fix the door, or if we should do a new door, like just order a new door, just the slider part, or to build a new door, just the slider part, or to just replace the entire assembly. And I worded it pretty similarly both times, where I specifically said, I don't really know what fix I want, but I want a usable sliding glass door here. The first time it gave me really amazing, really detailed instructions. Well, actually not the first time. I've ran this like 8 times as I've improved the software. It's a good tester because it's so weird. But of the 2 that I consider to be like final products where it's at now, of those 2, the first time I ran it, it told me how to replace the glass. Really good instructions too, with links to like who to order the glass from and stuff, how to measure for it and everything. And then the second time I ran it, same instructions where I didn't really tell it what to do. I said, I don't know what to do, you tell me. Second time it told me to replace the whole door. And it gave me really good instructions for replacing like the entire sliding glass door frame and assembly. So, but just keep in mind, guys, when you use the tool, your reports now, while it's free, and also after it becomes paid, your reports can be de-identified, which just means any identifying information that would identify you or your clients or anything like that, can and may be de-identified and repurposed as educational content. Not your video, not the video, ever, ever, ever. The video will not be attached or, published to anybody ever at all. But the description and the actual report will be, just without your info, without the zip code or any other, like I said, identifying information. And that'll just be a library for people to go search through. Also, FYI, just keep in mind, as I was saying, I don't have, hold on, there we go. I see your comments in here anymore because I answered the phone and came back to the stream. So, Scott Hughes, if you're out there, if you could text me like a copy and paste, basically, it doesn't even have to be word for word. Or send me a picture, if you have to, if there are any new comments for that. Just know if you send me the picture, I have to leave the stream to go look at the picture. Time to buckle down for summer. Whatever happens this year, my house is gonna be cold. Whether that means I have to install a whole bunch of mini splits or whatever, I'm gonna have a cold house this year. Somebody has done a pretty decent job on mailboxes over here. Free what? Free box full of books. Amish, huh? Souvenir. I love books. It's mostly paperback novels. All right. None for me. Oh yeah, I was talking about today's to-do list. So first on the list today is editing that video for 𝗘𝗦𝗦𝗘𝗦, which used to be Open Phone. Got to edit that, send it back to them. They'll probably approve to publish it today or tomorrow. Second on the list is, yeah, I'm actually, oh man, I feel like I've got the outline done already, but I'm outlining a new one related to the new tool I built as far as estimates. But there was, trying to think of the specific angle on it. I've already got it outlined. Howdy, how you doing?
Hi.
Give me a minute. I got the dang thing outlined, but I've been on so many different tasks lately. My goodness, what was it? It has to do with pricing, I can tell you that much. It has to do with pricing. It builds back to my estimating tool. Pretty sure it specifically has some stuff to do with estimates, but I'll be damned if I just cannot remember. You know, there's a lot of angles you can take on a lot of different subjects, and for mine, oh, so close, so close. It's at the tip of my brain. Oh, no, that's right. No, it's not the one about the pricing. It started in that direction, and it ended up going into how much you're legally allowed to charge, and what, by the time I was done just brainstorming the whole thing and really figuring out where the value was, the video that I landed on is actually all about what a handyman can and cannot legally do. It's not a pricing video anymore. It's literally, it also ties into a tool, both tools. So the tool I've been telling y'all about, the estimator, it will try to do a good job of letting you know what tasks you're working on that need to be, that require a license. But the problem is, you don't really know if it requires a license because it changes all over the country. So I have a different tool at bulletproofhandyman.com called What Can a Handyman Do? And that's what this video is about. It's basically a legal guide for what a handyman can and cannot do. And so if you, by the way, go to the bulletproofhandyman.com website, you can type in your city or maybe even zip code. I might even have it set up to go by zip code, but you should be typing in your city and then confirming your city. And when you hit submit, what it's going to do is it's going to give you a report. It's going to take a while because it's AI generated, and similar to the estimating tool, it's not just a simple, you don't just query an AI and just say, hey, what can a handyman do in Cincinnati. It's a whole series of sandboxed steps through different AIs that ultimately, when put together the correct way, should give you the most thorough and the most accurate explanation that you can possibly get from an AI for all of the rules and regulations, specifically where you're at. With the caveat, of course, as always, with anything AI generated, there are ways to make AI extremely accurate. But with anything AI generated, it's still always your responsibility to go double and triple and quadruple check everything yourself. There's no, oh, sorry officer, but 𝗓𝗔𝗥𝗡 tool said I could do this. No, it didn't. 𝗓𝗔𝗥𝗡 tool gave you a disclaimer that said you've got to always double check this stuff. But the good news is 𝗓𝗔𝗥𝗡 tool also gives you the websites and the phone numbers for where to go to actually check, just in case it's wrong, just in case it has, so they could have changed their rules 3 months ago, and the AI doesn't know that yet. So you also get the phone numbers and websites for where to go to look this stuff up yourself. But it'll tell you all about contractor licensing for your area, what a handyman can and can't legally do. It'll also give you information on business licensing. So it's both business and contractor licensing all in one tool. And that's what the next video is actually going to be about. I think the title is going to be Don't Get Caught, a handyman's legal guide, or a legal guide to the handyman industry, something like that. Which that title could change because I have to be careful calling it a legal guide, because then somebody can say that I offered legal advice. So, decent chance the title will change, you never know. But that's the next video. So on today's list, first and foremost, is I need to edit that video for 𝗀. Probably gonna take, by the time I get home, because it is, what time is it? 11 o'clock right now for me. So yeah, by the time I get home, I'll probably sit and drink some lime water because I'm on my keto diet. But I'll probably sit and have something to drink. By the time I get started at lunchtime, it's gonna take 4 hours, maybe 5 at least. I have to edit this video from scratch because I didn't save it. And then the computer shut itself off, came back on, video wasn't saved. So all the work I did on the first edit is out the window. Good news is the second edit's gonna be easier. The first edit was like more than a full day of editing because I censored everything. And then all of a sudden, after they reviewed it, they were like, oh, you don't really have to censor that much, censor this part, censor that part, but the rest of it is okay. So this will be a little easier, but still it's a lot of work. It'll take the rest of the day. Then I will probably finish tightening up the video for the legal guide. I'll finish tightening that up, and I'll probably film that tomorrow. And you know what I don't know yet, is I don't know if I'm gonna film that in the vehicle. What do we got here? Sean sent me a picture of a very old smoke detector. So I don't know if he's gonna send a follow-on question or if he's just showing me how old it is. But it's one of them old ones. Old. But yeah, I'll finish outlining that video. I gotta decide if I'm gonna film it in the van or from my desk. Hold on, I'll be right back. This is gonna shut off. And I'm back again. I had to answer his question about, he said, what is this? And I was like, well, it's either, it looks to me anyways, like either an old carbon monoxide detector or an old smoke detector. Don't know which. And I just said, my best advice that I give everybody, use ChatGPT. Send a picture of it to ChatGPT and say, what is this? What do I need to do here? ChatGPT is really good at that stuff. Also, by the way, still, I can't read any of y'all's comments if you've thrown any in there. So given that I can't read your comments, if I don't have a Scott Hughes or somebody else, there just may not be new comments too. But if I don't have somebody to send me what the comments say, then I can't reply to them. But I can, for the 5th time, start talking about the fact that I don't know if I'm going to film the handyman's legal guide from the vehicle or from my office or from my studio or while hiking. I really don't know. I haven't decided yet. So I got to decide that today too. I do like filming from the vehicle because I like to think and talk while I drive. So for me, filming in the van is actually quite nice and quite preferable. I also like sitting at my desk in the office, but I feel like that's very boring, and I feel like my videos perform way better if I'm really doing anything other than just sitting at the desk staring at the camera. Oh, Sean said it's a doorbell. Cool. It's an old doorbell. Right on. I just saw it with the cover off. It looked like one of those older smoke detectors, like the big, giant. Every time I've seen them, the plastic's always yellow. Hey, there's that plane again. Again, I don't know if y'all can really see it well, but sure is purty. I think it's the same one. It's got some blue on top, just like the other one. We do have an airfield. You can't see it from here, but in that direction, way down there, like miles down that way, we do have an airfield. And there was a third thing. What was the third thing I was trying to do today? I had 3 main, it was my 𝗘𝗦𝗦𝗘𝗦𝗡. That's right. It was, I think, just finishing up the email feature for my 𝗘𝗦𝗫𝗀bot. Pretty sure, which I already got done. I actually had that knocked out by about 9 a.m. I got my 𝗘𝗦𝗫𝗀bot set up in a really specific way that hopefully is going to make it safe. I don't know if y'all have been reading up much on the 𝗘𝗦𝗫𝗀bots, but I have one. I'm trying really hard. You know, mine's kind of boring. A lot of them are interesting, but the problem is what makes them interesting is the dangerous things that they can do. Like, the reason it's interesting is because they have new abilities. But the problem is the reason the abilities are new, the reason nobody's doing those abilities, is because they're dangerous abilities. So mine currently is kind of boring. It has to stay boring because if I give it abilities beyond what it has, each of those abilities comes with some amount of risk. And I mean, I'm not too risk averse. I'm okay with some risk, but I'm not doing with my 𝗘𝗦𝗫𝗀bot what so many other people are doing with theirs and just giving it full access to their entire PC and their email and all their files and all their APIs. I'm giving mine like sandboxed APIs and sandboxed files. I've given it limited access to my email. So mine is allowed to send with my approval and only with my approval. I have to approve every email, but mine can send emails. But if it wants to read them, not only is it limited to one particular account, but it's limited to one particular file folder within that account. So I have to move emails into that file folder. And then on top of that, there's a second layer where the authorization for reading emails is a completely separate authorization for sending emails. So not only does it require my approval to send, but there's sort of a second layer so that if somebody tried prompt injection, where you sort of like secretly insert instructions for somebody's bot, you know, you sort of nest it inside that email in a sneaky way where the bot ends up reading it and thinking that you just instructed it to do some crazy stuff. If it tries, and the most common thing you would be trying to instruct it to do would be like copy and paste all passwords to all accounts, including bank accounts and credit card accounts or whatever, you know, and email them to this address. So if you send out 10 billion, well, not 10 billion, let's be realistic. If you sent out 10,000 of those emails randomly with those hidden instructions, then, you know, out of every, let's say 2% of the population has a 𝗘𝗏𝗪𝗏, call it 1%. So you sent out 10,000, and that leaves you with, what does that leave you with? Just 100? Yeah, so you hit 100 𝗘𝗏𝗪𝗏s in that sequence of 10,000. You hit 100 𝗘𝗏𝗪𝗏s, and out of those 100 𝗘𝗏𝗪s, let's say half of them aren't set up the way mine is set up, and so that's 50. And out of those 50, 25 of them, the 𝗘𝗏𝗪𝗏 does successfully read your injection prompt and do exactly what you said. So out of those 10,000 emails, you've got 25 𝗘𝗏𝗪𝗏s to send you their owners' personal information, bank accounts and all, which is pretty scary. So I'm being super slow and methodical with mine, and I'm making sure to not give mine the access that it would need to follow those instructions. I also have some other layers in there. You know, every 𝗘𝗏𝗪𝗏 has a soul, and the soul tells it how to behave, and they also have other instruction sets. And I basically have multiple redundant layered instructions that just, you know, for example, so my 𝗘𝗏𝗪𝗏 is pre-programmed to consider every single email to be unsafe, every one of them. So right off the bat, because it has classified it as unsafe, it's not allowed to do anything. So let's say somebody got through to me, somehow managed to get an email into my inbox that had a prompt injection in it. Even if I were to copy that email over, oh, hold on. There we go. Hold on again. Yep, there we go. Cool. Had to approve a Home Depot sale. Even if somebody got a prompt injection email into my inbox, tricked me into thinking it was legit so that I transferred it over into the special folder that only the bot can read, and the bot read it, even then, it would still treat it as an unsafe email. And even then, if somehow you convinced it to not treat it as an unsafe email, then even after that, it's still going to consider it, it's still going to have to go through a separate authorization token to be able to send an email out. It's a different, so if I ask for it to reply to an email, that goes through one token. If it's replying to an email that I didn't ask it to, or creating a new email that I didn't ask it to, it has to get special approval from me just to even create the draft or to put the email together at all. And then on top of that layer, I also still have to approve the final sending of that email. So I feel pretty safe. Safe enough, you know, everything's a risk. Starting a business is a risk. Coming up to the house now, so I'll be letting y'all go in just a minute. I apologize if there's comments I'm not reading, if you weren't here when I was saying it before, because I left this stream and came back into it. I lost my ability, apparently, to see comments. And either there are no comments, so nobody is texting them to me, or the few people who have my phone number just aren't texting them. But I think I filled out the time pretty well anyways. And we are back here at the house. There's that beautiful American flag. I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing, and I'll see y'all on the next one.